Hello and welcome to Data Society coding tutorial. Today we're going to be coding a function called mounting act in the horse AI for the game. Now this is one of the many functions, and this is the new top-down AI code I'm working on for the game. So you have the maintenance, which explains itself, a bunch of decide things, and we get down to status. Now status is basically horses doing certain things at certain times. So there's a mounting status, a spooked, bucking, mount act, roped, wander, and rolling, and terrified, dismounted, and so on. Basically, it gets the horse to know what it should be doing at the current moment. But we're going to focus on this right here. When the horse has the mounting status, it'll go to the mounting act. So let's jump over to mounting act and see what we need to do. Okay, for starting off, it's an empty function, but down here is some old code we can use as a guide for the mounting act. So starting off, when you do a new function, you type function in the brackets, but I'm sure you probably know all that stuff. So starting off, a horse will run this function every tick, if you know what ticks are, or every time it gets to think. And every horse in game runs at real time. So we got to consider the performance issues as we go along with the game. So starting off, we need to find our rider. So we need to say my rider equals find player. This horse's rider ID. With that done, we also need to make sure that our status is the correct status. So if this status, same thing as mounting, or maybe we should do it this way. If it's not mounting, we need to just return. So you're not, if you're not supposed to be there, then you need to get out. So we know for sure beyond this point, the horse has a mounting status. So we know the player walked up to the horse, pressed E, and the horse is now being mounted by the player. So we need to tell the horse when he's being mounted to not move at all. And then we need to go to the mounting loop. And this is the process of player getting on the horse. Now, if the horse does not have a saddle, they don't have stirrups, so it may take a little bit longer. But we won't look into that. So next, we need to do an if statement to say the mounting loop, which we use to count down how long it takes to mount the horse, is less than 90. So 90, basically it loops 90, or it doesn't really loop, but if it's always less than 90, we'll tell it to this mount loop plus plus. So it will add 1 to itself every time it runs this if statement that's less than 90. We also need the horse to speak. Yes, horses are actors. They do speak, but they don't speak in human stuff. So here we go. The horse was saying they're mounting. Now, as long as that goes on, we go down here and we look at this code and it says as long as if else, this is what the finished mounting code. So we'll copy this and we'll clear it out. For reason I'll show. is you don't want to waste good code, even though it's kind of old and out of date. So I'll take this code and put it there. Now we do want a random element, and random elements are really great to teach players not to expect the same thing out of horses every time. So we'll call this random mount. Okay. We also want to consider the horse's mood too. Let's say the horse is in a really bad mood today, then they'll start bucking. But we'll get to that in a second. I'm just going to show you that. So instead of random mood, we're doing random mount. So we'll do rand, let's say 1/12 like before. I don't want to throw away good code. And when you're finally mounted, you need this if statement is talking about the mounted. When you're finally mounted, you need to set the loop back to 0. Otherwise, you instantly mount next time you mount the horse. And then when we do that, we want to change our status to dismounted. Oops, getting a little ahead of myself. So we'll delete this for now, and we'll worry about excitement later. That's a horse personality trait. So when the horse is less than 0, less than 90 in the mount loop, it will say mounting, and it'll run through the loop every time it gets asked to think. When it reaches 90 loops, or ticks, you can say that, it will do a random amount. It'll set the mount loop to 0, and it will change its status to dismount. So nothing's really happening except the horse just stays still, mounts, and then allows the player to move the horse. So what we do is we add a bit of this and lets the player know what's happening with the horse. Right. That way they can see progress, like they're actually mounting the horse like through an animation, but it just be text on the screen. Okay, there. And that should be our basic function for mounting. The next session we're going to be doing using the rand mount and having the horse do different things when the player mounts the horse.